Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am basically cooking everything that I have in the refrigerator, both meal prep and cooking, before I have to go to the grocery store again because everything's kind of ready to be on its expiration date. So rather than it going bad, I'd rather get it cooked up or prepped so that I can use it easily. This is over 2 days and this is the end of day 2. So let's go back in time and prep some vegetables, shall we? So first I'm going to start with my vegetables. I've got some carrots, I have a zucchini, and I have some cabbage here that I'm going to prepare. So I'm just going to go ahead and peel the zucchini, and I'm also going to de-seed it as well. And this helps to reduce the amount of lectins that are in the zucchini. And lectins are like those protective mechanisms that zucchini has. Other vegetables have this as well, or fruits, I suppose. And this helps to reduce that so the body can break it down a little bit easier. So just going to do that and then quarter it up into little inch-sized pieces here and add it into a glass Pyrex dish for storage. So I'm going to go ahead and peel my carrots as well and get those cut into rounds also and add those into the Pyrex dish with the zucchini, also to add into soup or whatever it is I'm cooking later on. So once I have that, I'm going to put that in the refrigerator, and I have a few carrots left that I didn't cut up to put in there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those up and put those onto a parchment-lined baking pan. I had used this earlier today to roast up some sweet potato fries, so just going to recycle that parchment there. Going to add on some broccoli and some frozen sweet potatoes here also, and I'm going to spray them down with a little bit of avocado oil and bake them in the oven, 425 degrees for 25 minutes, just to use for meals later on. So while that's happening, I'm going to go ahead and start on my cabbage. So we typically don't eat like just fresh raw cabbage in this house. We tend to cook it. And so I'm going to actually prepare it to freeze. So I'm just going to put them in a large pot here after it's all cut up and add a little bit of water to that. Put it on the stove and let it slightly steam. And so it's a little bit soft and a little bit more of a vibrant green. So while that's happening, I'm going to clean up my workspace here. So I'm just going to spray down the counter area with my Thieves Household Cleaner. This is my favorite cleaner. I love it. It's plant-based. I actually used it to clean the vegetables before I cleaned my counters. And just in this little concentration, I spray it on and rinse it off. It's fantastic. It works so well for cleaning. So if you've never used Thieves Cleaner before, if you've never ordered from Young Living or anything, fill out the little link that's in the description bar below, and I'll send you a sample of the Thieves Household Cleaner. I love it. It is a fantastic non-toxic cleaner. So my cabbage seems to be pretty well done here. I'm just giving it a little stir to double check it, but the green has come out. It's a little more vibrant. So I'm going to go ahead and get that off of the heat and onto another parchment lined baking pan. And I'm going to let it come to room temperature before I freeze it, getting it all in one single layer here. Now, if you've ever cooked raw cabbage, it stinks. So I'm going to go ahead and put on my diffuser. So I have some peppermint sitting here. I'm going to go ahead and put some peppermint in my diffuser. That will help neutralize the odor of the raw cabbage that has now been steamed and smells delightful in my kitchen. And this will just take that odor right away. So after I have that in, I'm going to go ahead and clean up my workspace a little bit more by washing the pots and pans and things that I have used thus far, utensils and various things. And that also will give the cabbage a little bit more time to come to room temperature so that I can then put it in the freezer without any worry. So once my dishes are done, let's go ahead and get these trays in the freezer. And I'm going to freeze these for about 2 hours or so, and then stick them in a zip top bag. So once I have all that in, it is time to get the vegetables out of the oven. So I'm just going to pull those out, grab a fork, and double check that they are soft to the fork going in, and they are, so they are done. And I'm going to put them in a glass Pyrex dish and let them cool just a little bit before I put those in the refrigerator to have in meals later on, add it to chicken or whatever. So let it cool, stick a lid on. It's going in the fridge. So with the power of editing and time, my cabbage is frozen. So this is a couple hours later. So I'm just going to release it from the parchment and then pour the cabbage into a zip top bag here. It all fits into one. And once that's in there, then I'm going to return it to the freezer, and that's just where it's gonna live until I am ready to use it. All right, so that is all I did for day one. Day two, we're doing meat here. So I had a chicken and I had some lamb that I needed to cook up. So I'm gonna start with the chicken. I'm going to add it into my Instant Pot. It is a gigantic chicken. Like barely fit almost. So I'm gonna spray my work surfaces down with my thieves cleaner because I got a little bit of chicken juice on the counter, and this does an amazing job at cleaning up chicken juice. Oh my goodness. So once I have that cleaned, I'm going to add in my spices to the Instant Pot. So I've got a little bit of salt, some cracked pepper, and I don't measure, my friends. I just pour, I don't know, some garlic powder, some dill in there. And then I'm going to take some water, 1 cup here, and add in 1 drop of sage essential oil and pour that right on top. And because the chicken is so large, I'm gonna go ahead and do manual high for 45 minutes on my Instant Pot. So while that's cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and start on my lamb meatballs. So I've got 2 pounds of ground lamb. I've got my oven preheated to 400 degrees, and I'm going to season this. So I'm gonna add in 3 drops of lemon essential oil, a good sized dash of salt. I'm gonna add in about a tablespoon of pluck organ meat seasoning. I love this for extra nutrition. And then I'm going to add in about a tablespoon or so of Italian seasoning and some green onions that I happen to have on my counter. So this was just 1 green onion. And then I also have about 3 or so leaves of fresh mint that I'm going to go ahead and add into, and that really brought it all together. It smelled so good. It was like absolutely amazing. So I'm just going to mix this all together and then form it into meatball shapes and add it to parchment lined baking pans. I have 2. I probably could have done 1, but I felt like that was going to crowd the pan a little too much. And you'll notice that I form my meatballs with 1 hand, and I do this to try to keep the other hand relatively clean so that I can wash my hands and not get meat all over the place when I turn on the nozzle to wash my hands. It's a thing. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and put these in the oven, 400 degrees for 20 minutes until they are finished. So plop that shut and spray down the work surfaces because that's what I do, because raw meat, my friends, raw meat, I don't know. So after I do that and get the kitchen a little bit cleaned, it's ready to pull these meatballs out. And I'm actually going to check them with a thermometer. I stack 3 on top of each other so I get a good reading just to make sure that they are cooked, fully done. And they are. So I'm going to add those to a glass dish, and I'm actually going to pour the fat into a different dish here so that I can use the solidified fat for cooking in a meal later on. So I'll stick that in the fridge. So now my chicken is finished. So I'm going to go ahead and get as much chicken meat off of the bones as possible and store those in glass dishes as well to use in meals later. And I like to do a whole chicken when I buy chicken because I like to make my own bone broth. Bone broth is so expensive. And so whole chickens generally here, organic from Aldi, is like $2.99 a pound, which is fantastic. So I get a ton of chicken and then I can also make bone broth. So I'm going to make sure I have all the bones and all the fat in my Instant Pot. There's still liquid in there. I actually don't need to add any more to it because there's a lot in there. And I'm going to pour in 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, give it a quick stir around, and this is what it looks like. Go ahead and add the lid back onto it, and I'm going to cook this manual high pressure for 2 hours. If you do this in a slow cooker, it will take 24 hours. So Instant Pot's the way to go for your bone broth. I'm telling you, it works so well. Put the chicken in the fridge, spray down my work surface. Again, yes, I do. I use this cleaner all day long, my friends. It's the thing that I do. So with the power of editing again, we've got 2 hours later, and I'm going to strain off the bones from the broth, stick this bowl in the refrigerator, and I'm going to scrape off the fat tomorrow to use it in another recipe. But it's just so easy, and it's so nutritious, and it's the fastest way to make a really good, healthy bone broth. All right, my friends, that will do it for my meal prep for today. Lots of meat, lots of veggies. This will get us through for a good couple days. I hope this gave you ideas on things that you can do with what you have in the kitchen, and I will see you all in the next video. And if you have not yet subscribed, please do that. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.